accept the agenda.
Ashley will second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. We do not have any public comments. Written communication from the public.
We had another Freedom of Information Act request. This one was for complaint forms. We don't have complaint forms, but I told the person how they could complain in writing if they wish to, including giving you guys' email, board@decaturlibrary.org, which goes to all of you. Doesn't go to me.
Okay. Great. New business, continuing ed and travel policy. Are there changes for class?
I don't have it. I mean, the only thing about this that could use some tweaking, and I don't think it's necessary, is we don't have any written approach to how we choose who gets to go. We basically rotate the professional staff. So
I
that's...
feel like we talked about that in the past, like adding language. I don't remember the logic as to why we
I don't
did
think
not.
we've had any conflict or bad feelings about it, because we do a rotation.
I mean, it kind of talks about employees who are presenters are given first priority, and then full-time employees will be given higher priority, and then priorities who have not previously attended an event. So that, I mean, that kind of talks about it.
Unless you want to make it more clear.
I think at this time, my preference would be no, and I don't know what you think, because it's your staff mostly we're talking about.
I think it's pretty easy to manage.
And other than that, I think I'm very comfortable with all of them. I worded that the GSA, the Government Services Administration, will not keep their website up to date in the future, but
That's, yeah.
that's okay. We'll live with that. If it becomes a problem, we'll figure it out.
Okay. And I will take a motion to send this to the full board for approval.
Ashley will motion to send this, the continuing education and travel policy to the full board.
Okay.
Iowa will second.
All right, Chayo, we have a first and second. Any other discussion? All right, we'll send that to the full board. Test proctoring policy. I have never seen this before.
So,
Other than before.
our recommendation is, Michelle is the one who does most of the test proctoring, and she thinks all of the language that refers to anything physical can be gotten rid of, because it just doesn't happen anymore. It's all electronic.
Okay.
So, starting with the third paragraph, the exam has arrived in time. That's all that stuff is zero. Pencils, paper. We do up to photo identification.
Oh, you have to
Keep
say.
that.
Okay.
And then I believe strike the entire final paragraph. Let me take a quick second look at that.
The last sentence. Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're getting at. It could be that even electronic, it's got to get to them. We're not responsible, but so we put that language in a few years ago because a staff member was telling them that they would mail things, and then they weren't getting it. Yeah. So.
Maybe just leave that final sentence, the library cannot assume responsibility for completed exams that are not received by the educational institution.
I think it just covers it
Yeah,
in
it
general.
would cover digital.
Yeah.
It would cover digital stuff too, and I'm fine with that. I think we can.
Okay.
Other than that, the first two paragraphs are totally fine. I mean, the big thing is we want people to make arrangements in advance and not just show up and say, I need a test proctor.
Is this something they can schedule on the website, or is it they have to
Yes,
call?
there's an email for test proctoring
Okay.
that's referenced. We get them all the time, so I'm not exactly sure where it is.
I was
but
gonna
people are
ask
finding
like
it.
how often
I would say, you know, in May and in December, quite a few.
That makes sense.
But also midterms, and we also do we see like licensure stuff, like real estate license, that kind of thing. So we see those. I would say probably at least every couple of weeks.
I think that this is a really cool service that I didn't know we had. Yeah, I didn't know we did.
That is not the policy I have in my hand, because that is not in here. I don't see an email here, unless they're further,
Edits.
it's the same date.
Yep.
Okay, so there is an additional sentence in the online version of this, and at the end of the first paragraph, it says, for further information, please email proctor@decaturlibrary.org, and that should stay.
That needs to stay.
So, thank you for finding that.
Well, good thing we asked.
Just looking to see where all the places that might be mentioned are.
And I'll change the format on both these, and the fonts.
Yes. Anything else on this one? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to send this to the full board?
Shiloh makes a motion to send test proctoring policy with the intended changes to the full board.
Ashley will second. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right. Next is future agenda building.
Yeah, I put this on here because we only have about 6 policies for the rest of this year to review.
Okay.
So, 2 of them are potentially complex. So there's the management personnel policy. We made a small amendment to that a couple months ago, but it's time to review the entire policy. That's also got to go through Jordan Klein, our attorney.
Yep.
I don't know whether you guys want to look at it first or have Jordan look at it first, whatever you. I would say it's probably going to take him at least 60 days.
I have Jordan look at it.
Okay, so I'll get that to Jordan, and when he's done, we'll put it on the agenda. The other one that is potentially complex is your bylaws. It's time to review those. So the rest of them are pretty straightforward. It's the library programming policy, the reference and readers advisory policy, photography and video policy, staff social media policy, and that's it. So I was thinking a couple things. One, there's a few policies that in the blue book we're supposed to have and we don't. Youth services comes to mind. What was the other one we talked about? So we don't have a youth services policy. I'll look through there. There's maybe 1 or 2 others. And then, are there any other policies that we think we need that we don't have? There's a handful that I've looked at over the years, and one of the things we're looking at is a library social media account policy. So the staff social media policy is about what can you post about the library on your own social media. But we don't have a policy about the library's social media policies, or our social media accounts. So we've been working on that in fits and starts, and we need to get something to you guys. But the other thing that occurred to me is that this is the Personnel Policy and Public Relations Committee. And in the 11 years I've been here, I think 95% of our time has been spent on policy.
Policies.
So, the other routes are the personnel and public relations. Typically, I think the personnel part has only been brought to you guys when there's a problem, so it's kind of a good thing that hasn't been a lot of talk about it. But we also, in a couple of years, and that's gonna be here quicker than we think, in a couple of years, the union contract is going to be required, and we need to begin to think about it also. I would like to consider, we do, every few years, we do it's too early to do that, I think, for the union staff, but every few years for management staff, we do a salary survey and benchmarking. We have a third party come in and sort of tell us what is the competitive pricing for the management positions. I think before we go to the table with the union, we really know what those are for those positions also. But that's really not for this year. And then public relations, again, I think it's only come to you guys in the past when there's a problem. And I'm not sure that's wrong, just bringing those things to you guys when there's a problem, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think some of it's kind of an advocacy thing. I think I just started following you. But Ashley's doing a really good job with reposting. I read the less stuff, and, library events. Just, we are on future agenda building. And we're talking about the
Future building agenda.
future agenda building.
It should probably be agenda dash building.
It's fine. We were talking about like the purpose of this committee, because we only have 6 more policies to review by the end of the year.
Absolutely.
And 2 of them are pretty big. One of them is the management staff policy and the bylaws for this board. So we were talking about, we just started talking about public relations in general, because we don't necessarily do that.
PBR's been around for a while, obviously, prior to us not being the ownership of the building, so obviously, sometime, or in the past, things have been a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think as I was just explaining, I think that personnel and public relations were usually was brought to this committee when there was a problem.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the right way to go, but I do think it might be worth our time to begin at least familiarizing ourselves with the union contract.
I don't know if I've ever looked at it,
But
because I was never involved.
Here's the drawback to doing that in an open meeting, is that when it comes time to negotiate, if you guys are openly talking and we're recording it and they can watch it, but I will say that we had pretty good success by everybody laying their cards on the table at the last negotiating. So, I don't know, there's different ways to look at it, but I think at least knowing what's in there, because you guys weren't here when we negotiated the last contract, so.
Can you send us the management, like, via email? The management, the bylaws, and are you able to send the contract, like the union
Sure.
contract?
Absolutely.
I think the bylaws are on those.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I'm happy to send all
Sometimes
that.
it's easier for me to track things better than email, so that's.
Happy to
why
send
I-
all
It's
that.
easier to remind myself to
Yeah,
read
like-
them if they pop up in my.
Because I try to keep
Oh,
my
yeah,
email
okay,
at 0.
tag that, gotta read that later.
And it's at 80 right now, so I'm not doing well with that. Is it? I like 0. Can I have 0? I work
Gino
for
keeps telling me that mine needs to be clear, you're
you're
about to run out of space. I'm like, you guys get rid of it, I don't care.
I think that would help us kind of, if you sent it out, it'd help us kind of get at least a level set of like what we're looking at.
Sure.
And any like initial changes that you think are worth looking at, like if we, based on,
Yeah.
from the last time.
Yeah, I think it's probably just not a bad idea for us to keep track of that and see things that, there are some things, we you guys made some changes in management personnel policy a few months ago, just for clarity's sake. And I think that sometimes we have a few things in the union contract that I know what we meant, what I think we meant, there's times where the union, that's what they think they meant, but here's what it actually says, and we need to, improve the clarity in a couple spots. And then there's, a few things that, again, I'm hesitant to say what they are in this open meeting in case it becomes a negotiation thing and we think we want to play our cards close to our vest, but I can remain in those. Of course, that's subject to FOIA. Except it's not. It's not if it's a matter of negotiation. And you can, I think, go into closed session on contractual matters. So I don't want to make a habit of doing that every month, but I do think at least start with familiarizing this board with what's actually in the contract. What does it say?
I think that is helpful. And then just the public relations part of it, I think of that kind of as advocacy for the library in general as well, like from a positive perspective. So if we want to come with ideas, I know we're not the marketing people, but if we can advocate in the circles that we circle in, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of the trustee job description.
Policy,
Yeah.
or not policy, but.
We've never gone that far. We've talked about in the past of, asking to stop by city council meeting every once in a while. Not that you speak on the record by any means, but making sure the city council members know who you are. Because you are the library board, vice versa.
Yeah, we had a good meeting, by the way, with Consuelo Cruz, and I think that maybe that's the next thing to talk about. I want to give the full board a chance to attend, at least 2 at a time, but I think David Horn will be next on my list to contact. So if anybody, I haven't, but if anybody's interested in joining me and giving David a brief tour and talking to him about, I think while with Consuelo we didn't go straight into here's what we need. David's been on long enough, I think we can, and
Regular member or user of the library himself as well.
yeah.
I thought about that going to city council. I was gonna talk to you guys about that. So soon-ish, not next week, but so just to get your thoughts on it.
Who wants to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning and can't do it?
I did it this week.
It's just like, I need to go to the city council meeting at the same time, but I'm gonna go.
I'll also find out what, there's a few policies besides youth services, there's a couple more, I think,
Okay.
that state of Illinois would like us to have that we don't, and we can get working on those.
Okay, yeah. So, is that enough?
I think so, yeah,
Okay.
it gives us good stuff.
Any other new business?
Yeah, I think this is the time to do so. I don't, this could be argue that it's old business. So, I was approached with a suggestion today, it's signed, so by Jessica Hill, who's our TISH worker. I was approached with a suggestion and this is, we can't take any action on this today because it was today that I found out, but for the board to consider a more formalized appeals process for
Yes.
when patrons whose library privileges have been suspended, a more formalized way for them to come to you guys. And I think that one of the things that, I'll just pass this around. Oh, actually, I don't want this copy. I want that I added some notes and highlighted those. This was my original one. So, I think, you know, in my discussion with Jess today, and she was discussing this, but when she heard from staff members, and that's why it kind of came to her attention, but I think that giving the staff members involved a voice is the biggest kind of takeaway here. And, you know, either be it coming before you guys and be willing to, you know, tell them their side of the story, answer questions, or something in writing if they're not comfortable with that coming in front of the board. So, you see that on number one, that schedule a date for appeal in advance and notify, if possible, all involved parties as soon as possible. I had a question that I sent to Jordan today about that, and that is, you know, so the idea, the concern is, well, what if, like, I banned somebody at 4 o'clock on, you know, board meeting day, and they came to you and they said, well, I'll be back in a half hour to appeal that. I'm not sure that that's a problem. But it's for you guys to decide, but I'm not even sure it's legal to delay it, you know, to say, oh, you have to serve 30, you have to wait till the next board meeting, a month later. So I want to find out if that's legal, and then you guys can decide whether it's desirable. As I said, the staff involved to, if they'd like to speak or write a letter from their point of view, if they're unable to attend, or just would prefer not to. The third recommendation or suggestion was that the staff involved would like to speak, have them speak before or after the appealing person to ensure their safety and anonymity. My question to Jordan on that is, can we ask the patron to leave after they've said their piece? It is a public, open meeting.
Right.
On the other hand, technically they're banned from the library until you guys decide otherwise. So I sent that question to Jordan also. And then ask if a social work consult or input is necessary. And I was not able to inform Stephanie first because she didn't work for a couple of days after that. But I didn't feel like I could wait, and I told the rest of the staff. So the next time and Stephanie didn't have any. So, but the next time I saw Stephanie, I had the conversation with her face to face because I thought, I would have preferred to hear from me face to face, even if she did have email. I just think that's a fair way to have that conversation. And she was, for the record, her response was, "I'm okay." You know, so.
It was I think the last that appeals was very. I was very conflicted.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
It
You
was
guys.
like, it was, I don't know, just, I didn't feel,
Right, either
I
way.
didn't feel right either way. Like, I was just like, and I think that's probably how you felt.
Yeah,
Or like, or maybe
Here's
putting
my
words in your mouth.
Here's my thing, is that the law says it's you guys' decision.
Yes.
You guys delegate it to me on a day-to-day basis for the sake of practicality. But when you guys, so I counted it, today I was thinking back, 6 appeals in the 11 years I've been here. Of 5 of those, the board, I wouldn't say overruled, overturned my ban. To me, it's always you guys' decision to make. So I don't bear. And once you actually extended the ban.
Yeah.
I've been in person for a year, and you guys know it ain't gonna be a year. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a longer.
That was, yeah. But like, I think I like this because it gives more information and like, I'm not, like, I don't know if we can do some of these things, but it gives more like details and more or from the people that were actually involved.
Yeah.
I think more staff input can certainly be done.
Yes, like,
if they want to.
Here's my, I think, and maybe you can talk to, is it Jordan about this? So an example is, someone can be banned if they keep bringing food in, right?
Sure.
Okay, so if they keep bringing food in and they want to appeal that, do they have,
we have a policy.
but like, is it really necessary to go through all those steps for us to say, stop bringing food in? Like, I think that there needs to be some clear, and it kind of talks about that, how it's like physical, verbal abuse, physical assault, or threats. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but like, we don't need to notify everyone in the library that someone's appealing because they're upset that they got banned for eating food in the library. And that's a very, but like, there's some areas that are very much in the gray of verbal abuse, physical assault, blah, 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 blah. Like, someone just making someone feel creeped out.
Yeah, with food, it's either you did or you didn't.
Right.
In some other areas, there's
There's
room
murkiness
for,
there.
there's room for interpretation.
And then like, so let's say a guy is sitting around and making you feel creeped out. Well, that can involve 5 different people. Are we going to track down every person? What if someone feels left out? I'm worried about how that gray area might be interpreted.
If I may, in the realm of our incident report database, if those reports are written well, that would solve a lot of the problem, and we still are working on that. And number 2, we can certainly add a patrons going to appeal. So everybody would know it, because everybody would be informed about it if they read it. But I think it's very important that we take the new patron use guidelines that you guys have approved and our new procedures of enforcement, and make sure that when you write the patron report, it says, this is what happened, and this is why I'm asking for what I'm asking. And we haven't gotten to that level yet, because we haven't rolled out the entire thing.
And I think that, and for the record, I think you agree with this, the patron report writing has, to show, the patron report writing has improved greatly.
And I think that, like, the one from this appeal was written excellently. Like, Alexis did a great job.
What's
I think
missing
it's-
from that is it
it's-
happened to Stephanie, not Alexis. And
Correct.
Alexis is reporting it for Stephanie.
Exactly.
That's the difference in a few of them.
And then,
Yeah,
and
and it
also
just
having,
happened to happen in a bathroom where no one but those 2 people were there.
and,
Ideally, Stephanie would have called the police.
yeah. And then, I mean, the other thing is, like, sometimes there are patron reports that, you know, there can be some staff, like, everybody has different experiences with different patrons. So, I mean, I don't know if that can be in the patron report, because, like, it mentioned time showing, but, like, we're there at the time, so, like,
That's just who recognizes the patron.
oh, okay.
And so certain patrons, we all know them because they've been a regular for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's,
And it's, again, let's go back to this, it's happened 6 times in 11 years.
yeah,
I guarantee you I've banned
a
a
lot.
couple of hundred people in those 11 years. So it's not like it happens a lot, but I do think maybe formalizing the process could be a useful thing.
And I think it works so well because you do all of this groundwork first. You never do a ban without first talking it through with people who are involved and people who have something to say.
The other stuff that I would add to it is making it an appeals committee situation that it comes before the full board meeting. Obviously, if you read your email and you see what happens, it's one thing, but for someone to testify, especially if it is a difference, or if it differs from what is alleged in the paperwork or the documentation on the situation is giving somebody the opportunity to speak, but also too, if it's a committee process, it can be a more controlled one. I'm talking about with having someone come in, whether or not it's a public meeting, because I don't believe, for instance, that the school board's disciplinary committee meeting is a public meeting. You can't come to that unless you're invited, so that would be a similar situation, library-wise. We can ask them to leave, and that it's not a public board meeting. There's other staff members that like to speak.
because I think I felt most conflicted because Stephanie wasn't here to give her side. We only had his side.
Right.
So I think that was my biggest issue with the process. But yeah.
But I think that's an interesting question too, about does it have to be a public, does it have to be an open meeting? Could it be a committee of
Yeah.
two board members and director or whoever.
And then,
It's-
and then
Isn't that how that they do with the school board, like they've already had a meeting and then it just has to get pushed out?
That's what it sounds like.
yeah, so like the recommendation for, so that might be,
That's my thoughts, I was switching over, I mean, I don't
So
know if you guys feel.
I'll ask
Yeah.
Jordan about that, because I don't think the library law goes into that detail at all. I mean, it simply says
we have the
that
right to
you have the
do it.
right to remove somebody's
Yeah.
privilege of using the library, so.
Okay.
I'll find out that from Jordan too.
Well, then I'll say that I sometimes, and it doesn't happen very often, as I said, I've been on board since 2020, I believe, 4 of the times you guys just mentioned, I would probably be zero which. Sometimes you can feel, I don't want to say ambushed, but obviously just not
Prepared, or,
prepared, but everything, as you're supposed to, everything's being fleshed out, whether it's one party speaking instead of the other, so that's what I would, or what I would desire personally myself, but that's a matter for another day.
okay,
That was.
Well, you can
other business.
thank Jessica for that great idea. I mean, I can, if I see her after.
Yeah, and it's definitely a good idea to
Yeah.
try to formalize it, so we all know what is supposed to happen.
Because we know what, and we want people to feel heard too, so at least I do, I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, any other new business?
No.
Alright, next is old business, city librarian evaluation. I sent that to you this morning.
God, thank you very much.
We talked about last time about compensation discussion. Did that happen at the finance meeting?
No.
Okay.
We won't put that on the agenda for,
Yes, please.
When that, would you also talk about sending me whatever pertinent documentation, whether it's, if we don't have a contract specifically, but whatever, like pay raises in the past, this, that, and the other.
I can get you, I can send you those three.
Appreciate it.
That would be helpful. Because that was the only thing we were missing. I think we talked about, they were gonna talk about it last finance meeting, because we don't know what's in the budget that's available to do that, so,
Well, nothing.
well, I know.
I mean, as far as, what I usually do is I will budget to give you guys room to give me the raise that they get, that the management team gets. So that's what was budgeted.
Okay, so the 5%, or, no,
You guys got 4.4, I think.
I'm thinking of something else.
I think it was a 4.4 this year, but I'll.
Maybe Maybe I was raising it.
The point was that having that information, is responsible that we eventually have that agenda-wise for finance committee.
Yeah, I can get that, it's actually not next week though, finance is the week after next.
Oh,
We
it's
got
the
back to
second-
back. We got
second
back to back.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Or third, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
and I'll have that too.
Can we send your evaluation to everybody, or like, not, or you can, I don't know, like, if everybody needs to see it, or like what?
Typically, the rest of the board sees it, but it's not a part of a
Correct.
meeting packet.
Yes.
What was the question?
The evaluation,
Excuse me.
to sending it to the,
Oh, yeah.
to the full board. I just wasn't sure about, all that FOIA.
It's just not subject to FOIA. It's, as a matter of fact, my entire personnel file was just FOIA, mine and other staff members, and Jordan says we definitely can leave out the performance evaluations.
Okay. Well,
They are specifically exempt from FOIA. As a matter of fact, we can't turn them FOIA.
so can I send that to the board then?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as there's not discussion back and forth.
Right.
All right, I'll do that.
Simply send to,
No
did, but we went back to it. There was a check register that we did table, but we got it last month.
I remembered it.
We got it last month.
Okay, so, is there any other old business?
Committee assignment system, policy, specific, it's just discretionary.
Did you need to reassign someone?
Hang on, something like that.
Then I will take a motion to adjourn.
Ashley will motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
Okay.